life's gonna come around and knock you in the gut. It's gonna sucker punch you right in the stomach, leave you laying on the ground, gasping for air. If it hasn't happened to you yet, it's gonna happen. That's life, guys. Eventually we will all get knocked down. We'll get our face in the mud. You cannot stay there, all right? You cannot have the victim mentality saying, fuck, why'd this happen to me? You have to understand that we know jack shit about this universe and what God's plan or the universe's plan has for us. Sometimes we're on this path. We got this game plan. We're going down this road. We got our blinders on. We're going. And all of a sudden, whack! And we have to move this way. Sometimes that sucker punch, sometimes that shift of the direction from God or the universe or whatever you want to call it, is for our better good. It's for the betterment of everyone else around us to stay off of this path that we had planned, thinking that we know it all, to over here, going this way, building a new life, right? So not everything is gonna go according to plan the way you want it to go. Sometimes, and even eventually, life is gonna redirect you, and you cannot sit in the corner with a blanket over your head crying, why me? Why the fuck did this happen to me? You have to realize that life is working for you and not against you. You have to have a winner or a professional mentality and not a victim mentality with this life. Remember those moments, we've all had it, when life had knocked you down. We're sitting in the dirt, right? We got mud on our face or we got dirt in our teeth. You have to remember those moments. They have all happened to us, whether it was through grade school, college, our career, relationships. Maybe a bad relationship, maybe a job, a boss let you go and you thought it was the end of the world and you got redirected this way. You have to realize that that was a blessing in disguise. It was a blessing that that boss let you go, that that girl dumped you on your ass, because now you have an opportunity to get a better job. You have an opportunity to meet someone that respects and loves you for who you are now, not dealing with that negative shit anymore. You have to realize life is not out to get you. Life is out there for you. It is working with you and for your better good and the better good of the community, the world around you. Now next time, when you hit what you feel like is rock bottom, instead of asking or crying out, why me? Ask, what's next? How can I make this better? What is God or the universe trying to tell me? Look for the lesson, not the exit. Trust me, there's always something there. Start flipping the stones over. Start looking. Wipe the tears out of your eyes, wipe the dust out of your face, and start looking for the opportunities in your setbacks. Because it's probably setting you up for something bigger and better. A prime example of this is what happened to my wife when we first got married. When I met my wife, she was working for this property management company. She was there for like 3 years prior to us meeting. She liked her job. It had its, ups and downs and stuff like that, but she was comfortable there. She liked it. She was in charge of like property management, making sure everybody was checking on things, or whatever the hell goes with that job title, right? Well, one day, the boss hires this new girl. She comes in, it's kind of like the boss's assistant. Well, this new girl kind of had it out for my wife. She was started off like gossiping about my wife, chit-chatting, getting in the boss's ear. And my wife could hear and see what was going on, because everybody else in the office is telling her, so-and-so is saying this about you to the boss. And my wife, she's not much for gossiping. She doesn't get into that stuff, so she kind of ignores it. Well, it builds and it builds and it builds, and eventually my wife had enough. She said something to the new assistant. This is like 3 months later, 4 months later, whatever it is. And she tells this new assistant off. Well, the boss, who has became best friends with his new assistant, didn't like that. They fired my wife. My wife comes home, bawling her eyes out, crying that she was wrongfully fired. Her pride, her honor was hurt. It's not that she got fired because she did something bad. It wasn't fired because she was lazy at her job or she didn't know what the hell she was doing. She was fired for something stupid, for someone else feeling a little bit jealous of her. Someone else feeling a little bit insecure. Got my wife fired. My wife came home, she's crying, she doesn't know what to do. I said, hey, babe, don't worry about it. We'll figure this out. Something else will come along. A week goes by, 2 weeks goes by. She's putting job applications over here. She's putting job applications over here. Nothing's coming in. One day I walk upstairs and my wife is just sitting on the floor and she's folding clothes and stuff like that. And I go, oh, hey, how was your day? And tears. I mean, my wife's not a crier. And these tears just start rolling down my wife's face as she's sitting there folding clothes. So I take a knee, I go, Smurf, I call her Smurf. I go, what the hell's going on? What are you crying for? She says, nobody wants me, I can't find a job, nothing's happening. And as she's telling me this, as these alligator tears are just rolling down her face, her phone rings. It's an employer, they have her job application. They're asking if she can come in next week for an interview. Right, so my wife starts smiling. She's talking to this person on the phone. She's giving me a thumbs up. She hangs up the phone. I said, "See, look, I mean, everything comes in its due time." As I'm telling her this, another phone call rings. It's the other employer from another company calling her, say, "Hey, we went over your application. We want you to come in for an interview. We think you'd be good for this spot." She's jumping up, which a whole day turned around. Right, with the last 3 weeks and going through that situation was a smack in the face. Crying every day because she was wrongfully fired. And it was a dead-end job where she was at. She was happy, she was comfortable where she was at, but it was dead-end. She was never gonna grow. It wasn't that type of company, it wasn't that type of work. She was never gonna grow from where she was before. And then she was like an accountant or something like that. And then all of a sudden she gets a job opportunity at these two other places. She picks the construction company that she goes with. So she becomes an accountant for them, right? With room to grow. Like, this is a massive company. So let me fast forward a little bit now, so she starts working for that company as an accountant. Where after like a year or two, she's working as an accountant and she gets interested in what's going out in the field. She goes, "Hey, can I follow some of you guys out in the field?" And one of the project engineers or the project manager says, "Yeah, you know what? Follow so and so." So she goes out there on her lunch breaks and she follows this guy around on the job site. Fast forward 5 years later. She's a project engineer. She's building these massive buildings all over Orlando, and she's loving it. She's loving life. She's loving her job. It's just a great opportunity. She's all the way up here now. When she was way down here, when she got smacked in the face, she thought that world was over, and it was. It was death to that world, and she had to redirect. And now she's here. God said, the universe said, go this way. She's on this path now, and she's climbing up. She's climbing up, and she is loving life because it gives her room to grow. If that girl never gossiped or set my wife up to get fired the way she did, my wife would probably still be there. My wife's not one for change, right? She's very direct in what she's doing, does not like change. She'd probably still be in that dead-end job. But because that happened, because God and the universe gave her that setback, and it was a blessing in disguise, and she's over here, she's doing the stuff she loves. She built the Star Wars hotel at Disney. She's building all these other things. Like, she's in love with what she's doing now, and if it wasn't for that setback, if it wasn't for that sucker punch and those hard weeks, she never would have been where she's at now. You have to realize, guys, that life is working for you and not against you. Sometimes life's gonna knock you down. It's gonna kick you in the teeth. You cannot lay there and say, poor me. You must stop and pivot. Say a prayer, ask God, what way should I go? Can I go this way? Eventually it will come to you. It might not come that day. It might not come in the next couple of days. It might take a week or two. Everything is in its due time, but you cannot give up. You cannot lay in a corner. You cannot have the victim mentality. You must get the fuck up and get moving.